Welcome to the Volunteer and Combination Officer Section webinar series. Today, I think you're in for a different kind of presentation in that we are going to be recognizing and talking about a specific program that a fire department is using to help improve their firefighter overall safety and health. So before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about the VCOS and what we're doing. We hope that you've considered coming to Symposium in the Sun. We did our 25th one in November. We'll be doing our 26th one in this coming November. If you think you want to go, you best get prepared to register in April, maybe even March, because the hotel sells out and the conference sells out. We've been selling out for about 8 years now, so don't wait. Don't call me up on November 1st going, hey, can you get me in? Because my answer is no. Sorry. But to look at V2S Symposium in the Sun and consider attending that. 4 days of very high energy, very good, high quality education. Some of the other things the V2S is doing, we have a brand new program. We've tested it one time, the V2S Critical Thinking Academy. Again, if you'll Google that, you'll get that pulled up. It is a 3-weekend program. It is spread out over a year with some homework. And we hope that we're doing one in April in Houston is the next one that's coming up. The V2S has numerous reports out there that are designed to help you manage and address some of the issues in your fire department. Our latest one is on data. The next one that we did was on canines and best practices for them. And then we've done some on behavioral wellness as well as cancer awareness and cancer prevention. This is Cancer Prevention Month, and we hope that you are all taking the best practices from our Lavender Ribbon report and using those in your department. Well, the V2S also has in-person programs that we could come to your region, not just to your fire department, and present programs on recruitment and retention, leadership, labor management kind of issues that you could use maybe in your department. Those do in some cases cost some money, but the V2S will probably more than likely spend about whatever half the cost is for us to present that program. So we encourage you to do that. So let's get on to today's program, and let me find my note here and introduce our speaker today. And he is Chief Scott Gehring of the Cranberry Township Fire Department. He has been the fire chief there since 2019. He is I don't know if he's a licensed or certified paramedic. I know some states they're changing paramedics to being licensed. So I don't want to insult somebody and say, oh, he's a certified paramedic. He's a fire officer 4. He has various other certifications. And I think I said he served as fire chief since 2019. He was in the military, and he does have some stories. He intimated that right before we came on here, some of the things that he did when he was in the military, just being part of being a soldier. But he loves the camaraderie of the fire service and the feeling that he gets of contributing to improving members of the fire department. So what he's going to talk about today is a program that they have at his department on injury and illness prevention. This program received the William F. Jenaway Award at the VCOS Symposium in the Sun, sponsored by VFIS. So, Chief, I'll turn the program over to you.
Hey everybody, how are you? Again, my name is Scott Gehring. I'm the Chief of Fire and Emergency Service for Cranberry Township, and I want to say thank you for having me on today. I hope to spend the next about 40 minutes talking to you about a few different things that we've had go on and transpire at our organization. So I'm going to share the screen here. I can share the presentation. Share sound. All right, can everybody see that?
I can see it, yes, Scott.
All right. So again, Scott Gehring, Chief of Fire and Emergency Services, Cranberry Township. I've been here since 2019. I've been in the fire service since 1998, and I got to tell you that it's tough for me to say that. I make fun of a lot of people, and I always have fun with get my digs in on people that have been in the fire service for a long time. Well, I'm starting to be one of those guys, and it's cool, it's fun, I enjoy it, but starting to be one. Before I get into the whole presentation, I just want to make sure that I mention the fact that everything that we've done in this at any organization I've ever been a part of, it's the foundation, the critical foundational piece of it is teamwork. From anything that we're going to talk about with Cranberry Township, with the Safer Group, with the emergency response simulations, all of that has come from a team of individuals. I'm not generally the person that's leading the charge on it, but I'm definitely an influential piece of all of it and love my interaction with those groups. So I'm just here privileged to present on behalf of the Cranberry Township Volunteer Fire Company and being their chief officer. So the outline of the program, we're going to talk a little bit about the strategic plan that was done by VFIS in 2016. We're going to get into the next piece of that. The strategic plan led to the 24-hour emergency response simulations. And then even prior to all of that happening, it was basically the foundation of the SAFER group. The SAFER group stands for Standard Assignments for Emergency Response, and that was a development that happened in 2017 to improve all of the organizations across that large geographic area. A lot of the presentation is really going to focus on that SAFER group piece because a lot of people have a hard time getting there, and we got there through some really creative and difficult conversations that really enlightened individuals.
Scott, I'm sorry. I forgot to mention questions and answers from the audience. We will save those for the end, but if you go to the question and answer section at the bottom of your screen, you'll be able to send me a question and I'll get it up. Yeah, ask to Scott later. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, back, wait. I don't know, 16 or so.
So how did this whole thing started? How it all started with us was Cranberry Township had a significant growth with increased demands across the large demographic area. Think about what has happened in the Pittsburgh region. It's probably happened in a lot of suburbs, if you will, across the entire United States. One of them, and our biggest issue, was that we went from a blue collar workforce to a white collar workforce here in Cranberry Township. We had stopped seeing people that were predominantly focused on the trades, and the entire region switched to like a medical and technological region. And that led to the growth with our group of, the changes in our group where we didn't have people around 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So it forced us to really look at it and figure out what we were going to do differently. The chiefs were exhausted. They were essentially working two full-time jobs. There was a lot of turnover associated with them that led to some wild, drastic changes here and there. So just like anyone, when you come in, what's the next person do? They change it. They change an organization every time. There was no consistency. There was no method of how we were going to move forward. We just kept on changing as we progressed. We had a significant change of apparatus, comes with a hefty price tag to the citizens of the community. And we also had recruitment issues. We had 31 black hats, those were interior firefighters, and 16 yellow hats back whenever they did the study. And I'll show you, but there's been significant growth from there. But we had people that were not around as predominantly during the day because we had switched to that type of white collar workforce here in the community. They were all working during the day, and we didn't have individuals to respond to our increased demands. And also the township had a lot of requests, things like financial oversight, the administration, the organization changing and modernizing, the reporting of information to and from with them. And truly, in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, it is a commonwealth, and the lowest form of government is the one that has it's good. The lowest form of government is responsible for fire protection EMS protection, and police protection. So we were directly tied to our municipalities, and they wanted to know what was going on. We had to provide them with information, and rightfully so, because they're the responsible party to ensure that things were being taken care of. So from there, we moved into, hey, how do we fix this? How do we look at it? And from 2015 to 2016, we coupled with VFIS and a gentleman by the name of Bill Jenaway, who was part of this that we'll talk at the end here. But Bill Jenaway led the charge on looking and doing a strategic plan for the organization. And from that strategic plan, and identified a bunch of changes. We had to form a committee. That committee was VFIS and Bill. There was also township elected officials and township management. There were community stakeholders like civic groups that were a part of it. There were community residents, and then there were also firefighters that were on it to look at everything from just about every different perspective you can think of. They needed to take it, they needed to pull it apart and figure out how can we get better at what we do. This entire program took them an entire year to get where they needed to be. So they spent a significant amount of time developing the plan that came out with about 28 recommendations that had identified multiple vulnerabilities to the organization. We needed a staffing program because of the increased demands. We needed to modernize our facilities and change it so we could have bunk-in places for individuals to be able to sleep and be here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We needed to modernize all of our policies, procedures, guidelines, bylaws, and ensure that we had all of the pieces put together to be able to successfully run a modern organization. We needed to hire a chief to help implement some of that stuff. We needed to get rid of the voted on process associated with putting leaders into place based off of popularity vote, and put them in place based off of sound practices and decisions, education and background. We needed to ensure that the apparatus weren't going to change every 2 years or 3 years, or have too much or have too little, or to continuously be purchasing apparatus that met that specific leadership or organization's needs. And then there was a whole slew of other things that they did, some of them small, but most of them, these were the big ones that we had to do. So from 2017, after that study came out, to 2022, we spent about 5 years trying to modernize everything. Took everything, we pulled it apart, we rebuilt it. Sometimes we rebuilt it and it failed. And the important part was that we identified that thing failed, and we went back, we picked up the pieces, figured out, hey, what did we do wrong? How can we fix it? And tried it again. So, I mean, failure is an important part of anything that anyone does. And we kind of took that and ran with it, that, hey, it was going to happen. We recognized it, and we moved from there forward. The Safer Group is a huge part of that. We're going to talk most of the second part of this presentation on the Safer Group, so I'm just going to leave that one go for now. But from 2022 to 2024, we're talking like post-COVID to just this last year, we spent a lot of time just building the group, building the norm, people understanding what we were doing, trying to implement slow cultural changes and slow movement towards the end of the line. In 2025, just last year, we did a pretty hard shift on a cultural change, and the cultural change was the fact that we would take it and essentially kind of walk away from the risk aversion model where you completely go around it, to the fact that I want you to focus on being so good at your job that you can go right through that risk. You're going to come through it unscathed every time because you're so good at what you do that you can mitigate all of those risks along the way. So we had a big cultural shift in the organization, and it's been received extremely well. I'll tell you that we've had a significant increase in our team building here at the organization. And right around now, we bounce around 50 of those 50 black hats, which are our interior firefighters, and about 11 yellow hats. And Probably the biggest thing is 50 of those black hats, all of them, they're invested in this place. You saw the number on the first slide and it was about 30, 31 or 32. That wasn't 31 or 32 that were completely invested in the place. They all did different things. This is 50 people that meet the minimum standard and ensure the fact that we are providing a service 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So how it went, we talked a little bit about it there, but in 2017 to 2019, we had some tough times. I will tell you that at that very beginning that we started implementing some of those strategic planning items, things didn't go so hot. Some of it was presentation, but some of it was also concept and reality too. We hired a chief here at the organization, and that was a big change. That was they now had oversight beyond what they've ever had before, so they all had to adapt and understand the role that they played in the entire place. We started implementing PPGs. Those are policies, procedures, and guidelines. That's just a short way of putting it. The PPGs were something that were developed but not fully executed for a few years. They got some of them done, but they also modernized the bylaws, and they started on the renovations of both of the firehouses, the one on the Park Station on Route 19 and the Haines School Station on Haines School Road in the township. And that was a heavy lift. That was a huge lift, and frankly, I think it burnt a few people out because there was a lot going on with it. Modernizing two firehouses is not an easy thing, especially when you're building massive additions onto them. But it was honestly one of the best things that we needed to do because it implemented it and gave us the ability to have a staffing program. My personal opinion, my thoughts are the fact that if you're not staffing your firehouse, you're not doing your community a service. You're not giving them the appropriate level of service because time is not in anybody's favor nowadays. The only way to do that is staff it somehow, some way. We do that through a stipend staffing program. We also have the Department of Fire and Emergency Services, which was that logo you saw on the front that was blue. That's the township employees that are employed by the Department of Fire and Emergency Services that support the Cranberry Township Volunteer Fire Company. The Department of Fire and Emergency Services is comprised of 4 positions: the chief, which is myself, the admin recruiter, which is Nathan Nicholas, does exactly what I said, and Chris Snedeker, who does the training program. And we have a vacant risk reduction position that will be hired here again in the next few months. That's been vacant since COVID. It's just really coming back around to being able to implement it to handle some risk that is associated with what we do. In 2019, there was a full changeover of the Department of Fire and Emergency Services. 3 of them left. 1 of them stayed. The admin, her name was Amy Behun. And I will tell you that her staying was absolutely instrumental because that's when I walked in the door. Knew Amy for a very long time. We worked together extremely well. She's a great friend of mine. And I will tell you that we were able to help. She was able to help me get my feet on the ground and get us moving forward right at the beginning of COVID when things were very difficult. We were lucky enough that we were able to get some people that got reallocated during the COVID pandemic, and we were able to develop an entire PPG set that went from everything from our operations to training to safety to and administration to get it issued, because we had people that we could throw at it that were not able to function at their job, at their level in the township during COVID. In 2020, right after I was hired, the township then revised that contract through the request from the VFIS study. That contract was revised and established the chief of Department of Fire and Emergency Services as the chief of the volunteer fire company and gave them oversight of the entire program. From there, we moved and put the officer selection process in place. That officer selection process is the golden standard for us now. We have all of our folks that test out to be qualified. So they have a written test they have to take. They have a practical test they have to take. There is an interview panel, and they have to successfully pass each piece of those to be an operational leader at the organization, and the standards that are associated with it, with education and time, are just similar as you see to to a career department, because the fire doesn't know any different. You need to meet those standards to be able to ensure that you are providing the best service that you can, and you're protecting your firefighters. So the next group of years there, 2021 to 2024, obviously we were building and growing. Things were changing, things were moving. We were building a team that was able to really tackle anything. At this point in 2026, I can absolutely say that we have a team like I've never seen before. There isn't one thing that they can't tackle. There isn't one thing that they can't climb over. There isn't one thing that we can't fix. And that's generally done through great communication and the relationships that we've built within the organization. We obviously always spend time. I firmly believe that documents and policies, procedures, and guidelines, they are absolutely living, breathing documents. That is things that they're constantly changing, they're constantly evolving, they're constantly being updated, because if you're not doing that, they're just gonna be outdated and a moot point at some point and at some time. The organization has really shifted a hard focus on training, which we'll get into here in a second. But I will tell you that the training numbers that are put up at this organization are absolutely unreal. There's our annual report that we publish every year. We're starting to work on that now. And every year we're breaking records. We broke another record this year. We have just numbers that are unbelievable on the charts. We do have our own training facility here, so it makes it easy. We bring it to our people and ensure that we have it here readily available and accessible to them any day, anytime. Just in the last year, we have done some serious cultural changes that I had mentioned. Again, those people have really bit onto that really, really hard. And I'll tell you that it all came from the fact that I sat through a gentleman's presentation in FDIC last year, and his name was Clyde Gordon, and he was giving a speech on, it was called Wisdom, Wheelbarrows, and Warriors. And he absolutely moved me, absolutely threw me for a loop. And I came home invigorated, and the organization, the leadership, and the board of directors and the brigade officers all sat down, and we changed our mindsets and communicated exactly what our expectations are, and the organization just drank it up. And they still are, and I can't tell you how proud I am of them to be moving the way that we're moving. Our staffing program, when it started in 2017, it was at 17%. It was not very great. Obviously, through COVID, we had lots of people off of work. We saw some 100% numbers associated with it. However, now we have the ability to staff 6 at the Park Station, 2 at the Haines Station, and we have 100% on weekdays, evenings, and overnights, and then we have 97% on the weekends, which is fantastic for their group of volunteers that are being paid stipends to be here. We're obviously, we all understand that there's still a road to travel on that. We're one hiccup away from potentially missing that 100% mark or that 97% mark. But the fact of the matter is that we really pay attention to it on a monthly basis. We're ensuring that we have people here, we have them ready to respond. We're running, we ran 1,200 calls last year, and we're busy. That's not EMS runs; those are fire and rescue runs. So people come here and they get exposure, they get training, and they enjoy their time because they're actually getting to do what they get to do. What we're looking at in the future is we're honestly looking at trying to get another strategic plan done. Again, just like the changes to the PPGs, we also need to ensure that the organization continues to change and modernize. So we need to do a new strategic plan that defines where we go from here. What's our next steps? Our township is a firm believer in planning, and once the plan is done, that is what we'll do. So there's a lot to come in the next year. I'm very excited about what the strategic planning will yield, and I'm also excited to be able to work on pushing those initiatives forward as a team and ensure that we're providing the best service we possibly can. A minute ago, I mentioned about training. One of the spin-offs from the cultural changes that has happened over the last few years is a training that we call the 24-hour emergency response. A 24-hour emergency response simulations is essentially a slew of apparatus and instructor groups. It's 10 instructor groups of about 4 people in each group that spend the day 24 hours at the firehouse responding to the busiest, most craziest day that anyone could ever experience at a fire station. From fires to crashes to technical rescues to fire alarms to medical calls. And they go there and they react. Every time they go up, the situation changes. The layout changes. It's always a surprise to them, so they don't ever respond to the same thing. They're going into a situation that they don't know. There may be a hydrant out of service. There may be a car blocking the best access. There may be the X, Y, and Z problem they have to take care of. But we take it and spend an entire 24 hours investing in our firefighters. And I can tell you that from this implementation, we've done, I believe, 9 of them, maybe 10. And I have seen better firefighters come out the other side because you have the chance to do something wrong and you get the opportunity to make it right within a few hours. So you can completely screw up and then you can get back on that horse and get a good rep and ensure that you are providing, you are making yourself ready. So there's just some photos associated with it on the side. Same thing with this slide here. This is a crash scenario, obviously just absolutely crazy. That's a car upside down in the front of the school bus. We can create really anything that we want, but they go down to our park fire station and they respond to calls. This is the call volume for those individual organizations that participate. This was from one of the last ones. Each piece of apparatus responded to 16 different calls, some being the same, but you never went on that different call. The next slide here, there's a video. It's about 2 minutes long. I'll just let it play. It explains everything associated with it. was just a cool video of the program that we put on, and the I'll just leave that there for a second. The entire program was honestly, it was manifested in the mind of a gentleman by the name of Sean Sokolowski. It's extremely, some of the stuff that he does is pretty creative, or AKA if you want to call it sick and demented. But every time we do this, we get together as a group and a team and really figure out things that are really interesting to do. And I'll tell you that, like I had said, that people come out of it better at what they do just because the amount of repetitions they get. And it's just really awesome to have the facilities to be able to do it and host it. We actually just picked the participating departments for this year's. It's going to happen in a few months. And we had, I believe there were 20 some departments apply for it. And then they also pay a fee to be able to participate in it because it's an expensive adventure. We got to provide food, drinks, facilities, everything, burnables, consumables, everything for this group and this training to happen. So all of the groups that participate are selected for 2026, and they're already working through their rosters and preparation for it. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is probably honestly one of the most proudest things that I've ever been a part of is the standing up of the SAFER group, the Standard Actions for Emergency Response group. And the premise behind the entire thing is it's really no secret. Organizations have changed over the last 15 years, 20 years. And if you're not trying to fix the problem, you're probably part of the problem. And but the organizations need to change and modernize their operations to ensure that you are doing what is best for the communities that you serve. So we found that whenever we did this, and we started the whole process in 2016, it was implemented in 2017, that we had outdated data, that we were running 2 and 3 companies on structural fires, that we weren't throwing our best hat in the ring for each one of them. We wanted to figure out how we multiply our troops on the ground without merging fire departments together, and how we made it so we were getting our best bang for our buck out of the groups that were there. And ultimately, the biggest thing was what happens whenever the chief is not at just about any fire. And we knew that times were changing. Chiefs weren't available 24/7 at every organization, and that the operations were very difficult to track, very difficult to follow. We figured out that if we all invest in each other in a group process, that we could make life better for everyone just by putting in a standard set of policies, or sorry, guidelines that would make it so we were all doing the same thing. As I had mentioned, the SAFER group stands for Standard Actions for Emergency Response. The motto of the group is to provide our best response on their worst day, on our worst day. The 90th Battalion, the 90 came from the fact that we are Station 90 in Butler County, so we just called ourselves the 90th Battalion. I actually really like that. That's the military guy in me, though. The groups that were involved are the Harmony Fire District, the Evans City Area Fire Department, Calgary Fire Department, Cranberry Township Volunteer Fire Company, and the Adams Area Fire District. All 5 of us came together and we started sitting down, and we were like, you know what? We want to try and make ourselves better and invest in each other. From that whole thing, we sat down and started talking about things, and we got it wrong as soon as we took it out of the gate. We started making policies like seatbelt policies, facial hair policies, vest policies, things that really didn't matter at all for what Mrs. Smith really cared about, what was going to give her the best result should she have a structural fire on 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Wednesday. And really, the fact of the matter was we just abandoned it. We walked away. And we really didn't know what to do. We had some leadership changes within the group, and once those leadership changes came about, this gentleman on the left is by the name of James Ellis, who passed away unfortunately a few years ago. If you're looking for good training in Western PA, there's an entire weekend named the Jimmy Ellis Weekend after him. that you can find on social media, Jimmy Ellis Foundation, and Adams Area Fire District, the Jimmy Ellis Firehouse. We all post it because the training happens here in Cranberry, but it's like a small scale FDIC with tons of training, tons of social events, and just a really good time, camaraderie and in a group effort. But this conversation that Jim led, he kind of sat us down in a room, and he said, "Well, there's big things that we want to try and fix, and that's the NIOSH Big Five. The reason that firefighters die every time, and it's the same, and it's a shame that there are the Big Five that are a problem. These are the biggest issues. One's the lack of a risk assessment." Lack of an incident commander, lack of accountability, lack of communications, and a lack of standard operating procedures is why firefighters get killed. So we sat down, all 5 fire departments sat in a room, and we broke up into 3 groups. There's 3 groups. We would use past practice as a piece of it. And then we would also use NFPA 1710 and NFPA 1720. Each group had its own assignment. And whenever we broke up, he said, "You know what? You're in downtown Miami, Florida. And you know what? You have this structural fire. Using what you have, why don't I want to see what your ideal complement of response is, utilizing what we do currently, the career standard and the volunteer standard." We all sat down and we started to work through our process, and we came back and we all reported out. And the crazy part was that we came up with the number 23 on all 3 groups. We came back and said it takes 23 people to put out the structural fire. And we all looked at each other and we said, "Holy crap, we're all the same." It doesn't care. The fire doesn't care whether we're career, volunteer, or combination. It cares that we get 23 people to account for all of the pieces to try and make the fire ground safer. We all realized, you know what, we're running short, and we never adapted that. Also the NIOSH Big Five could also be solved by us doing one thing, and that was implementing the joint operating guideline that we would all run from. So by implementing one document that guided us operationally, we could ensure that we are covering all of the 5 things that are a problem. All the 5 things that are killing firefighters, we covered it in one swipe. We took the operations, we started thinking about it, and we wanted to make sure that we were going to base our decisions off of best practice, not just because that's how we always did it, right? So we sat down, best practice. Most of it was developed utilizing a lot of training that many of us gathered from the Pennsylvania State Fire Academy, and we put the standard practices that you did at the Fire Academy for arrival assignments and operations onto paper. It then caused it that we could send our people to the State Fire Academy. They could get this information. We never had to train them, and they would come back and they would know exactly what we're talking about. But we all just took that and made it the same mindset and made joint operating guidelines to advance what we are doing here in Western PA. So we all broke up. We all started working on individual policies, operating guidelines. They covered what you see here on the page. Each one of us had something that we really cared about, that we were passionate about having done, and we took care of that. The model run card we took in, we all switched to 5 individual fire departments. I mean, there were 5 independent agencies, and we switched to 1-tone dispatch plus that home department that the incident lies in. And boy, did that make a big difference. Instead of hearing tones for days, you had 1 tone for 5 fire departments, and we still utilize that today. But we took all of these policies at everybody because we all have our own way of writing things. We tied them all together and we standardized them and we made them repeat. So whenever you repeat something, you can make it so the organizational members can remember it very easily by the repetition. And then also made it so each individual organization was only responsible for 1 piece of fire apparatus. So we're planning for our worst day. 1 truck that has the amount of people in it that you need to be able to do the jobs that you need to do. This is the operating guides for the fire side. You can just read through those real quick. Pretty simple, just laying out exactly how it works. Now, I know there's a lot of writing on this slide, but this is a standard document. This is the offensive operations for a single family residential. If you look on here, you can see that there is the initial OIC responsibilities, talks about what you're going to do as a command officer. It's going to talk about what you're doing if you're an individual unit officer, and then each arriving apparatus, first due, second due, third due, fourth due engine, what your job is, then your first due truck and second due truck. All of those pieces would come into play on every one of these. This just repeats in the same format through all individual offensive guidelines in the operational section. So there's cheating guides. I'm a big fan of cheat sheets. We don't do this every day. Some people don't do it very often. I can take this document and I can give it to someone. And if you can read, guess what? You can do what I do and you can be awesome at it. And also they're all available for you in the front of the fire truck. So if I don't do this very often and I need something to jar my memory, I can pull this out and I can look at it. I can go to the website, www.safergroup.org, and I can look it up and be able to reference anything on the fly. These are quick sheets that we have for in the documents set as well. In here, we have standard forms. On the right here, you'll see that there's a standard clipboard that we use that we can write on. This is meant for basic, like single company, or sorry, first alarm assignments for individuals that are tasked with running command. Just real simple notes, real simple assignment boards for tracking. But there's one for accountability boards and passports, so we're tracking our individuals. There's one for tracking assignments. And then there's also tactical worksheets. All of these pieces come into play to create the entire system that we work in. The tactical worksheets, they got developed for every incident that we have. Again, we don't do this every day, so expecting perfection is really unrealistic. Most of the folks that are riding the front seat of the apparatus are not doing this 7 days a week, so we need to make sure that they have some way to reference materials. It's not meant to insult anyone. It's meant to help you ensure that we're running a better fireground. This is the Safer Group's JOG 201, which is the single family dwelling tactical worksheet. And I'm going to quickly switch over to the multifamily tactical worksheet. And you're going to notice nothing changes. That's because, as I mentioned, we repeat things. Things don't change. They get different when they get into the mid-rise piece. It's just this piece over here that changes the initial assignments, but things stay relatively the same. Get different when they get into the commercial side as well. But all of them are meant so you can copy the repeatable actions. We do have standard communications, a way that we talk. We have on-scene reports, we have 360s, and we have command transfers. And those are all on the back of one of those clipboards that I had just showed you. So if I don't do this every day, I can pull up and I can have a wax pen or a marker, and I can circle as I go down through here, circle it, and then I just read from top to bottom. And I just gave a completely effective report associated with my on-scene reports. I do the same thing for my 360s. On here, I just circle everything and I read from top to bottom. It's pretty amazing, the system that's there. We have CAN reports. They're driven by the incident commander. You see here what you're looking for. This snowflake thing on the side is really a joke on the document. And what happens in the middle of winter whenever there's snowflakes outside? Everybody starts talking about it, right? It's talking about, shut up, don't talk on the radio. You don't need to tell me everything that's going on, but that's snowflake reporting. Oh, look, there's a beautiful snowflake, and I must talk about it because it's unique. So that's what the snowflake was. There's always the people that talk about the what if. We do have a guideline. It's a guideline. I need you to understand that. It's a guideline. It's not a policy. This guy here is probably the expert at it, in my opinion, and he's calling the audible whenever he sees something that doesn't fit the play that he's working in. So we have the ability to do that too. Let's say I'm in the JOG, it says that the second due engine is the one securing your water supply. Well, let's say I'm the first due engine and I know that the second due engine's pretty far away because they just were. Well, guess what? The first due engine needs to hit the hydrant because you're not setting yourself up for success if you don't do that. You're going to run out of water and you're going to get someone hurt or you're going to get the people killed. So ensure that you do what needs to be done based off of the situation that you presented. You just have to have the reasoning behind it. You can't just go rogue, but you have to have the reasoning as to why you're doing it. And life is good. It is what it is. It's not a big deal. But in the end, it created a standard outcome. It gave us a set of standards that we would work from as organizations, as 5 different organizations. It gave us a set of expectations to get whenever we were there. And it also creates a standard outcome. I got to be 100% honest with you. I've seen a standard outcome in a lot of incidents in this area whenever these things are implemented and used, and they're used on every one. It changes things. It's pretty impressive to see how well they work because I know whether I'm coming here to Cranberry or I'm going to Callery or I'm going to Adams, I'm going to Harmony, or I'm going to Evans City. I know exactly how I'm working every time. You don't have to tell me. You can just say you're the first due engine, or you can just say I'm the third due engine. I know what my job is, and that's all you have to tell me on the radio. And I will do exactly what is outlined in that policy. And it's taken us a while to get to where everybody understands that, but here we are 6 years into it, just over 6 years, and we function like a well-oiled machine on just most occasions. Not all of them. We have our problems, but on most occasions, it's a well-oiled machine, and it's impressive. You have fire departments that are, let's use a career department that has 3 shifts. They all function differently than each other. They don't have the ability. They all do their own thing. And we have 5 individual volunteer firehouses that have trained so hard on and believe so heavily in a process, and all of them are doing it the correct way every time, which is just it's impressive. Honestly, it's a cooperation that I've never seen before. The group is so invested in each other. It's amazing. But we took that and we kind of carried off on it a little bit. We started more progress. We started joint recruiting. You drive past the Adams Area Firehouse, it'll send you to the Safer Group, and the Safer Group has recruiting information on it for me because there's a belief, and I truly believe in it wholeheartedly, that if I get someone to join my neighboring fire department, whenever I need someone, guess who's going to show up? That person that I recruited to the Adams Area Fire District because it made sense for them to go there, or the Callery Fire Department, or the Harmony Fire District. Whenever I need them, I'm still going to get them, but I pushed them into a place where they needed to be. We do have joint materials. We do have banners we put up. We have done joint school events, so those are very tricky in Pennsylvania. It's hard to get in and do things. But it's really a group investment. That's the website that you can go to, www.safergroup.org. You can actually get the JOG off of there. And frankly, I will give it to you because I care, and we care that we're investing in people well beyond the borders of our 5 municipalities. These groups have popped up all over the place, and a lot of them are built off of the foundation that we've given them because it works so well for us, which is pretty awesome. To have a reach beyond your local area that you never predicted is pretty awesome. As I had mentioned in one of the past slides, there's standard communications. When we first started talking like this, using this lingo, we were basically bastardized, if you will. People didn't believe in what we were doing. I can't believe they're doing that. They're talking too much. They're doing this. They're doing that. And I'll tell you that this is the standard of how people talk now. So 6 years later, this is the standard of how people communicate or what they're striving to do each time, which is pretty cool too. I didn't tell you to do it. You did it just because it works. We do continue on progress. We were working on, and we still are working on, the Tech Rescue Joint Operating Guidelines are implemented, but we want an all-hazard response team. And the goal is that we have incident stabilization for all types of incidents, 30 to 45 minutes in, not looking to replace any type of county or regional team. We want to pull equipment. We want to pull our people. We want to ensure that we have, again, throwing our best assets at it. You can see over here what those joint operating guidelines are for all of the technical rescue disciplines. We have made some changes. We recently got benchmarking put in at the county level. That made it so that we would actually get timestamps and ensure that we were communicated to during the initial phases of operations for fires and critical incidents. WWW reports, who, what, where reports for firefighters down. They found that lunar reports are not effective. Almost no firefighters across the nation are able to spit out a lunar report whenever they have a problem. So we shifted to WWW, which is who, what, where. Very simple to say. Chief arriving responsibilities, and that one document I showed you, it gave you each assignment for every arriving chief. So 1 through 4, 1 is your command, 2 is your operations, 3 is your aid, and then 4 is your accountability. Roof reports, put in the clapped report for the truck companies. And then we have had that delayed implementation on our all hazard rescue team. We're working on that now. And then I really don't know or think we'll ever get to the ops level hazmat, but hey, it's in there. It's always a goal, right? As I mentioned, we're not the first people that have this in place, but we're not original, and it's not rocket science either. It was all created through good group communication, through the focus of on the facts that we wanted to do well for each other, and we wanted to make sure that we were providing our best response on our worst day, on your worst day. The safer group has happened because of hard conversations, right? It gave us additional runs, it gave us additional exposure, which also leads to increased proficiency. If you run more calls and you do the right things every time, you have the chance to screw up and you have the chance to be good at it. And that's probably one of my favorite things about it, is that we have it. The multi-agency safety net piece, you know what's awesome? Is that myself as a chief officer, if I'm not available and I'm not here at work, guess what? A captain, the lieutenant, even a firefighter from the neighboring jurisdiction can come in and they know what is expected of them. They know what the expectation is. They have the same playbook that I have. So do the other chiefs, so do the other captains, and so do the other lieutenants. So it really created a safety net going from a small group of officers of 5 or 7 at Cranberry to now having 30 across all 5 agencies. How cool is that they all work the same way? It honestly made life better for everyone. But think about that impact that it has for all of that organizations. That's 10 municipalities, 118 square miles, and that says 65,000 people. But honestly, Cranberry Township, Adams, Jackson, all of our municipalities around us continue to grow by thousands every year. So at 65,000 is probably wrong at this point. I would say we're probably closer to the 70,000 to 80,000 mark. But it's an impact. It's a serious impact. And then also it's a group cooperation, like I had mentioned, that I've never seen before. You know, they are truly, instead of thinking of someone as your enemy, like a lot of people do, we actually thought about them as our friends, and our possibilities that we have been able to pull off because they are our friends are just unreal. It's truly commendable on everybody's part to see what we do. But then finally, like I mentioned, we do have issues. We own up to them, we fix them, we talk about them, we pull them apart, and ensure that what we're doing the next time is not repeating that same mistake. And that just takes some ownership, and it takes some creative and hard discussions. That's all it really is. So that's really it for the presentation associated with the SAFER group and what we have done, as well as our strategic planning and our 24-hour emergency response simulations. I know that there's John, do you want to carry on the conversation about the award, or?
Let's, yeah, we will do that. But I have to tell you, I'm out of breath. Oh my gosh, Steve. I am telling you, this is an outstanding program. I read it when you're when the award when you're nominated for the award, but I didn't understand it until you now do it. And it's funny because this is my command worksheet that I made up like 20 years ago. Little
Yeah.
bitty 5x7. It's got two sides. It's got structure fire and it's got extrication. And it's so funny that you talk about that because that's so important because we don't do this every day. But your joint operating guidelines, I mean, I was making all kinds of notes here. But one question I have, and anybody that has a question, please come up and send us a note. Uh, you talked about 23 staff came up with the same idea to do the best practices. I didn't really understand what you were talking about there.
So whenever we sat down, we broke up and each group was utilizing our current operating standard, NFPA 1710, NFPA 1720. Jimmy had told us, hey, you know what? I want you to throw the ideal complement that you think you need to be able to put this fire out. Something that's going to cover all the functions, the engine, the truck, the RIT, everything that goes along with that. What number do you need to put this fire out utilizing these standards? And lo and behold, we all came up with the same number. It took 23 firefighters to be able to put this incident under control safely and ensure that we covered all bases of everything that was happening on the fire ground. So that's where the number 23 came from.
Okay, good. Uh, so Bill Jenaway just told us that there is an article on the Safer Group and the award in the January issue of Pennsylvania Fireman Magazine. The William F. Jenaway Illness and Injury Prevention Award is an award that is sponsored by VFIS and the Volunteer and Combination Officer Section. The Cranberry Township Fire Department and Chief Gehring received that award this year. We encourage you to, we'll probably be announcing those in April or May for you to submit something that you're doing at your department to talk about, how you're helping reduce injuries and prevent injuries to their firefighters. So, Chief, you want to talk a little bit about the award for your standpoint?
Yeah. So first of all, I was blown away that we got it. It's just us doing us. It's just us trying to advance what we do here, and to be able to be recognized from folks from somewhere else is pretty amazing. And all honesty, I had my phone had rang, and it's like, oh yeah, this is Bill Jenaway, and I had heard that you guys have a pretty good program there, and I want to talk to you about it, and it's on safety and illness prevention, and I got a lump in my throat. I was like, oh no, like I from from what I know, like Bill's not gonna like what I have to say. And I feel that like I'm going to upset him and he's gonna say no. So here I am talking to the godfather of safety himself, and I'm like, well, here goes nothing. You're going to like it or you're going to hate it, one of the two. And talk to him about what we have done with the culture. Talk to him about how we've done, instead of risk avoidance, we've made it so that it's task proficiency and people are able to be tacticians on the fire ground. Talk to him about the Safer Group and the strategic planning that he was a part of, and everything that, like, he builds the reason why we went down the road that we went for numerous years, and it's the reason we're still thriving today. And I finished everything, and I'm like, well, what do you think about everything that we just talked about, which is everything that was in the presentation? You got the way more elaborate version than he got on the phone. And he's like, well, congratulations, you guys won the award. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. And I was like, wow, I did not see it going that way, just because of I was wrong. I was antiquated in my thinking, and I had the wrong image in my head of what the group was looking for. So
Well, congratulations. It is an outstanding program. I thought it was sort of ironic that, and I'm looking at my notes here, that you said they were still electing officers. And the VCOS in 1996 said in the Blue Ribbon Report to quit electing officers.
yeah,
So we've been saying that for a long time because it didn't guarantee, and nothing guarantees the right person, but the popularity vote of election of officers could throw out a good one and put in one that's not so good. So
absolutely. And to be honest with you, it has been so refreshing because it allows our officers to be officers. Like, I have a job to do just like you do. And sometimes that's good and it's great. And sometimes I have to do some things that people don't like. And by that group not being elected, it allowed them to function as officers and hold the standard and ensure that if there had to be discipline done, they did it and they weren't worried about being voted in the next year. Uh,
Well, I'm going to do a webinar in a couple weeks, Brian McQueen and I, on having difficult conversations with low performing volunteers. And just write up that what you just talked about, because that's what happens when an officer, a captain, calls a volunteer up and says, "Hey, you don't show up for training. You gotta start showing up for training." Well, guess what? I'm not going to vote for you at the election because
Absolutely.
you've been mad, you've been mean to me.
Yep,
No, he's trying to make sure you live to see tomorrow.
absolutely.
So we're that's I forget what the date is on that. It's been advertised as well. So I liked your comment. I'll have to go look up the Jimmy Ellis Foundation training. That's I would like to share that with more people around the VCOS. You made a comment about the black hats are invested in the Cranberry Township Fire and Rescue. Can you explain what you mean by invested?
We were very successful with a young group of individuals at our place, and it's awesome to see. We have we have a huge buy-in from a group of folks that have really bit into the culture that we're talking about, and that culture of task proficiency, of being that tactician that I had just mentioned, and ensuring that we're providing a service. They're there staffing.
Well, we might have just got cut off. Hello. Yep. Well, we didn't get to end it the way we wanted to, but we thank everybody. If it is still recording, thank you all for coming, and we will let you know when it is posted so that you can share that with other people. Thank you very much. Have a great day.